Okay, boxing fans, I'm just going to do my Billy Joe Saunders versus Matthew Hall prediction. Starting with Billy Joe Saunders, he is 16 wins, undefeated, 10 of which by way of knockout. In terms of the rankings, this is actually a bit of a backward step for Billy Joe Saunders, but he was in a tough fight last time out, and he'll be looking to gain confidence by stopping his opponent and putting on a real show on a tough opponent, really. You look at, and by the way, when I say this is a backward step, when you look at Nick Blackwell, you know, it wasn't that Billy Joe Saunders underperformed, it was that he performed the way he should have performed, but also Nick Blackwell totally overperformed. He exceeded everyone's expectations in that fight. No one really saw him, you know, coming out and giving such a hard fight to Billy Joe Saunders. That's the truth. You look at Matthew Hall, and he is 25 wins, 16 of which by way of knockout, to 6 losses, and 3 of those by way of knockout. That's a 31 fight career. 16, like I said, knockouts. Billy Joe Saunders only had 16 fights, so that's something to think about. He does have 25 victories. Notable victories include a TKO victory over Bradley Price in 2 rounds. He also fought Anthony Small, Lucas Konecki, Sam Webb, and Gary O'Sullivan, losing to them all. He does have more big fight experience than Billy Joe Saunders, and he knows there are other people more deserving than him in the rankings for this fight. Therefore, he should train like there's no tomorrow for this big opportunity. You know, looking at the power, and I'm just going to edge forward Billy Joe Saunders, because he does have a rep as a decent puncher. Not that you would have seen it in his last fight. In fact, 2 of his last 3 opponents, who are only at British level, have taken in the distance. Something to think about. You know, that being said, those 2 guys, being Bradley Price and Nick Blackwell, are very tough opponents, but they've both been stopped before. In fact, Price was stopped by Matthew Hall, so that also shows that Matthew Hall is a decent puncher with decent finishing ability. But another thing is, they're always going to, you know, when you fight someone like Blackwell, and Blackwell's been stopped before, they're always going to compare the likes of Martin Murray to Billy Joe Saunders and say where they are in their careers. But another thing is, so there's always going to be a question mark over the power, but Billy Joe Saunders is young, and he can develop his punching power and gain, you know, finishing ability. That's something that I think can happen. The biggest advantage for Billy Joe Saunders is his movement. He's shown great movement in his last fight, and this is at the middleweight division, where movement is not incorporated in such a way as it is in the lighter weights. He was shown great movement in his previous fight. He usually only shows that he can cut down the ring well, but in this one, no, he was a very good movement, very good foot speed. He controlled the fight with his foot speed. He had great stamina too, you know, I've got to throw that up there. He survived the whole distance with his movement. He's probably better than domestic level in terms of movement alone, I think. Speed, you know, Billy Joe has got a slight advantage with hand speed in the ring, and his boxing ability does complement his hand speed. You know, boxing ability, like I said, we know this guy is former Olympic athlete, Olympic boxer, very well-rounded boxer in the pro game. They brought him on quite slowly to, you know, bring him through the amateur to pro ranks at his own pace. He's shown that he can work on the front foot, and he can also work on the back foot, like he's shown against in the Blackwell fight. Decent stamina, is good conditioning. You know, he can last the full 12 rounds. Let's look at Hall now. His recent form has not been too good. He's lost 4 of his last 6, 2 of which by KO, against better opponents than Billy Joe Saunders at this time. So it's not looking good for him. But he's still a good boxer in the past. He's had good competition, so he's got experience. He can punch, that we know he can do. So he's definitely got a shot in there. But overall, I'm going to say Billy Joe Saunders will win this fight by TKO in the second half of the fight, from round 7 to round 12.